It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
All right, SKOR North Twins Show. We have recapped the trade deadline. You guys supported the show in huge numbers over the last week, so thank you. We did an episode yesterday, just kind of running down the latest updates and what has happened post-trade deadline, ownership stuff. But we have not talked to Trevor Plouffe since then. Coach Trev, it's been now 5 days since bloody trade deadline day. I don't know. I feel like we got to name that day. We got to put some type of spin on it. But when they nuked 40% of the roster, I guess, how are you still? Are you still in a processing phase? That's what I feel like Twins fans, even though we've played 4 games since the deadline, are still kind of in a little bit of a processing phase of, man, well, number one, who's on this roster now? But two, I can't believe they nuked all these players and traded all the guys off the roster.
Yeah, I still am in the what's the next step? That's what I keep thinking. What was all this for? And I think a lot of people have an answer in their head. Obviously, this team is for sale. You're trying to give a clean slate to the people that want to come in and buy this. I think that's kind of the gist of it. You can spin it as, hey, we weren't where we needed to be, and this was a shock to the system that this organization desperately needed. But okay, I don't necessarily buy that one, because we were the roster that this team had was very, very close to being it was the most talented roster coming into the AL Central this year. I don't think anyone disputed that. It didn't work out that way, but we were closer to being a playoff team, contending team, than a team that needed to rebuild, in my opinion. So I'm still, my thought process is what's next? What is this going to be? Definitely it was shock. As far as the name, I didn't want to put this out there, but I feel like enough time has passed. A lot of people have been calling it the Red Wedding, a Game of Thrones reference, which was I don't know if you know that one, Judd.
I don't think Judd.
I do not know that one.
Guy.
I said The Departed.
Okay, that's more your speed. Okay, the Red Wedding is a shocking turn of events in Game of Thrones where everyone dies.
Okay, well, that's the same as The Departed when they step out of the elevator.
I don't know, man. I'm still processing. I've been talking to some of the guys on the team, and it's just I don't think I realized I was live streaming during all of that. We're couple hours before the trade deadline hit, we were just on camera. And I don't think in my mind, at the time, I realized the depth and just the what's the word I'm looking for, the enormity of what just happened. And then afterwards it's how many guys are gone? And then at the ticker, the one that got me, and I said this on the video I put out, the Louis Varley one makes zero sense. You might like Rodin, and you might like the lefty that you got back, but that one to me is just I don't even know what that was for. It wasn't for payroll.
No.
And what was so weird about that one was it fell so far out of the because not all of these trades were bad moves. The rentals, we talked about this, so it'd be disingenuous to say I can't believe they traded. But the fact that Varland sort of got, to use your term or mine, that The Departed, or what was it called? The Red Wedding.
Yep.
The fact that Varland got lopped off at the end, he's the guy who's going to survive it, right? You're watching this and it's okay, well, he's got to be secure. Big time character. He's not taking, and bang, he gets it at the end. So not to name names at all, but what is the general, because we do not have this advantage from Phil, Declan, and myself, what is the general consensus of the people that you have texted with or talked to about how the magnitude of this?
They were shocked. And I talked to him, over, the same day as the deadline happened and a couple days after that. I think it was shocked. I think a lot of people understood who was going to go. The team put themselves in a position to be sellers. That's just the bottom line. So they have to look in the mirror a little bit there. I don't think anybody expected that type of selling. I think Willie, Harrison, Coulomb, maybe one of Duran and Jax. You didn't have to trade either of them, but I understood if you traded one of them.
Sure.
And that was kind of it, really. Like Brock Stewart could have stayed. Like he's not making a ton of money. You could have kept your high end back of the bullpen and just said, okay, like let's go into next year. Let's go after this thing again. You're not competing with this group next year. You're not. And do you think they're going to add, during the offseason enough to make this a team that's going to be fighting for a playoff spot next year?
Not unless they're sold.
Yeah.
And spend. No.
If there's, it's a
Joe
sale
Ryan,
would have to happen very quickly for then the new ownership to come in and say, let's go.
Agreed.
But again, they've put themselves in a position now, trading away so many guys that you couldn't, like, I don't think you could, even if you went into free agency and you got this new owner, a Steve Cohen type owner, and had all the money in the world, I don't know if you could put together or like sign enough players to put together like a real, true competitive roster. So
Joe Ryan basically was quoted as saying something along the lines of what you just said, which is, hey, we expected something, but this is way more than I think the players felt that they were led to believe something. And then at the 11th hour, they blew it up beyond belief. And the Bob Nightingale piece that came out in USA Today on Sunday, which was sort of a takedown of the entire thing, but was interesting, quoted a unnamed GM as essentially saying the Twins changed the entire deadline because we expected it to be sort of busy, but nothing like this. And nobody had an inkling that the Twins were just going to hit the nuke bomb. So I think all of these things, I think a week after, as we try to digest the carnage, I don't think I can explain it still. Like certain things I can. The Correa contract, which by the way, I don't even have a problem with that. That contract, I think he's a descending player. He's moving to third base. But Trev, when you get to like all of the moves, I mean, to your point, the Varland trade is not a Pohlad mandate. Like he's a guy that you can use, you need, and he's cheap. So like trying to put the puzzle together, it feels like we're missing a ton of pieces.
They forced themselves into a rebuild is what they did. And I don't think that's not, I mean, look, we've talked a lot about the brand on this show. I think that was the wrong decision for the brand because, you could say what you want about rebuilding teams. It's different nowadays. The draft there's a lottery in the draft now, and the Twins haven't necessarily done great in the draft either. Let's call a spade here. So look, they forced themselves into a very, very difficult position to crawl out of. Mm-hmm. And that there's just no way around it. Like I love the organization. I want to be part of it. I want to continue to, lend my voice to the team. But I have to be honest, when talking about the team, I think you can't make moves like the way the Twins have had and expect people to just say, like, oh yeah, like that. I understand it. Like, no, I don't. I really don't understand it. I really, truly don't. I understand getting rid of salary because you're trying to sell the team. I understand if you want to, if you were looking for a catcher and you wanted to trade one of Griffin or Jackson, you got your catcher, understand it. Okay. But like to completely tear it down the way that they have, to me, I think we're going to be sitting here in a couple of years being like, what did we do?
So you don't have much of, I'm just going to speak for you here, Trevor, make an assumption here. You don't have much of any optimism even going let's flush the next 6-7 weeks here. Just mostly flush it for 2026 even. Cause I don't know, man. I see some of the things they've done and I know morale is probably our bigger question we're trying to answer here. And that is a very important thing to get fans to buy into the team. I'm kind of optimistic about what they have because they tore things down. They have some prospects knocking on the door. I don't think 2026 is lost yet. Maybe I'm sipping too much of the trade Kool-Aid, but I feel like 2026, I don't think like they're heading towards a White Sox Rockies thing.
Maybe not there, but we're going to have, if you bring up all the prospects, you can bring up Jenkins and everybody else that's down there. Like it's still a ton of unproven guys on your roster. Mm-hmm. Like the entire roster at that point will be truly unproven guys. Like very little track record. You might have some starting pitching that you can rely on, but then literally everybody else, like they don't have that. You don't have enough to count on. Even a guy like a Royce Lewis. I mean, you're looking at him as like your centerpiece of your offense at that point. Him and Matt Wallner. Look at the inconsistencies of those two guys. That's going to be the middle of your lineup. Ryan Jeffers would probably be your most complete hitter. Like, and he's been up and down. So like, and who knows if he stays? Like, they might trade him in the offseason. I'm on the fence. I think you have to extend him now. I know you got a catcher that is a big prospect, but the reports are he might not even stay at catcher. Yeah, which is interesting. Like, if you're trading for a catcher, wouldn't you want one that is going to stay at catcher? So I think that I could get on that train, and maybe I will. Maybe you can convince me that 2026, we opened up a lot of spots for guys that we had in the upper level minors. Okay, I can get on that, but like, how much optimism am I going to have going into the season? Probably not that much, and I'll wait for them to prove me wrong, and I'll be happy if they do, no doubt about it.
Here's the real question too, I think. One is a sale indeed close? Because now, I mean, the team has to be sold. But you know what? If they're in debt and that's causing problems. But my question for the winter is this, because this could go one of two directions, which is you sort of embrace things and continue to try to build up a little bit more. And yeah, you gave up a ton, or Pablo and Joe Ryan could both be gone. Like, I don't know what their intention is here. Like to Dex's point, is the intention, like, is there some master plan here, or are they just going to go full White Sox or Rockies, and they're still owned by the Poleheads, and the kids say, no, we cannot have these contracts? And quite frankly, I mean, I would guess some of the folks who are like Pablo and Joe are like, what's going on here? Do I want to be here? So this could go one of two ways, but unfortunately, there is a second wing of Armageddon that could transpire. And right now, I'm going to tell you, Trev, I don't trust them not to trade those two guys. It's not like I think, oh, they're here for sure. And I also don't know. I mean, what happens, Trev, when the exit meetings occur with Royce Lewis, with Joe Ryan, heck, with Pablo? Seems like a nice guy, but he's competitive. Are those guys like, yeah, I'm on board for this? Or are they like, you're so dysfunctional, I want out?
No, I guarantee Joe Ryan and Paulo Lopez, and this is just in my mind, I haven't talked to these guys about this. I guarantee if they approach these guys about extensions, I think that you have to say, extend me, and when are we going to be competitive again? And they can say, okay, maybe as soon as 2026, which I don't believe in. I don't know, man. I think it's made it harder to extend these guys. And a lot of people could think, hey, we saved all this money. Now it's time to go out and extend a guy like a Joe Ryan. But it takes two to tango, man. And I don't know if those guys are going to sign up for a rebuild. And so I agree. I mean, I think that we might have another whatever you want to call it happening. I forgot about Byron Buxton, by the way, when I was talking about offense before. Obviously, he's going to be a centerpiece, but I don't know, man. It's hard to right now. We're still only less than a week after what all this went down. It's really still hard for me to see like the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm still pretty down bad about it, to be honest with you.
What did you make to Trev of Buck coming out in the last couple days, basically saying, yeah, I wanted to be here still. This sucks watching his teammates getting traded. He's still very much on board with, I'm a Minnesota Twin. I think Dan Hayes even released this morning that teams like the Mets and Braves, and Atlanta does make sense, obviously, with his connections to Georgia, did reach out to Buxton's representation. The Twins have a very hard no on that. Buck has the no trade clause. I guess I kind of appreciated the fact, I guess, that Buck stepped up and said, hey, I want to know more about this. When I was on a call with Falvey on Thursday after the deadline with reporters, and he said he had a conversation with Byron because he felt he owed him that conversation, which he's obviously the leader of this team. I guess if Buck is still on board with this, I'm good. If Buxton comes out, which he has yet to do, and say, you know what, out, I'm done. This is bizarre. I don't know where our direction is going in competitiveness. I only have so many years left of playing at this level. I think the fact he so far is remaining a good soldier, but man, if that tide changes at all in the next, I would say between next 6 months, because we're still far away from the next season, but if that changes, then I do think we're headed towards a crash course of White Sox Rockies level rebuild.
I can't even put my mind there. Look, it could happen, and he's never going to come out and publicly say that. It's just not like he will not come out and publicly say that because he'll lose some leverage. I mean, the no trade clause is put in there for a couple different reasons. One, you don't want to move your family. You're there, you signed up, you want to be somewhere long-term, you've earned that right, and I'm going to stay here, I'm going to raise my family here. I think that's where Buxton's head is at right now. Firmly entrenched, understands that this place is good to raise families, and he feels very comfortable there. It's also in place so if a team wants to trade for you, you can say, okay, I'll waive it if, extension, give me 2 more years on top of it. That's a big part of a no trade clause as well. So he's never going to come out and publicly say, I want out, trade me, I'm okay with being traded. He won't do that. So, Can his mind change? Yeah, it definitely can. If they trade Pablo and Joe Ryan, I think he starts thinking about, hey, I'm signed here through 2028. Still fairly young. He's he'll be 32 before next season, I believe. You don't want to just be part of a rebuild. You don't, at that point, you want to go win. So I think it's not a guarantee that he's always going to be a Twin right now. I think they have to do some things to make sure that he wants to stay. They cannot just assume, yes, Byron is, he said this a few times, that's the way it's always going to be. I don't believe that.
If the team is not sold into the winter, I fear that they're going to do what the Wolves did, Trev, back in the day with Garnett, and go to him and say, it's pretty hopeless. Like, we can get things for you. Because if you recall, when Garnett left the Wolves in 2008 or so, he didn't want to go. And the Wolves are like, dude, we are not anywhere close. So, like, yes, if the team is sold, I think things can pivot in really quickly there. What was your thought on the Correa situation and ultimate trade, which was basically he was sold and the Twins kept money to pay it off, but he was basically sold to Houston?
I mean, from the Twins standpoint, yeah, it was we're getting off $70 million, right? That's what it was. They ended up paying 30 of the 100 left, so some those are round numbers with something like that. It's for the Twins, it's clearly exactly what it was. And you can say that he's a declining player, and maybe you're right about it, but I still think he was worth his contract to that organization. I truly, truly do. But not if you're just going to lose. Like, if you still planned on winning in the near future, Carlos Correa makes sense to be on your team because you do need leaders in that clubhouse. Byron Buxton is a leader. He's a different kind of leader than Carlos Correa. So, I think that needs to be said. A guy like Carlos is so important, especially when you're bringing up young guys. He is the professional there. And like, as we saw on the trade deadline day, he's a mediator between the front office and the players. That's a very important job. Not every team has that. So for a guy to feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I'll go talk to these people, or I'm going to talk to them about business decisions, you just don't have that very often. Carlos has, earned the right to do that, and he has the personality to do that. So I don't know. Like, that one to me also, it was Varland and Correa that signaled to me that this was not just a regular trade deadline. This was something more than that. Those were the two moves that really, really got me, because I have gained so much respect for Carlos Correa since meeting him and being around him and seeing him in the clubhouse and seeing him work and just the type of guy that he is on a day in, day out basis. I've gained a crazy amount of respect for him. Like, yeah, those two though, that again, that signaled to me that this was something different.
Hey, a shout out to Grandpa's Barbecue, by the way. I'll tell you right now, it's not different. We're not trading, we're not selling, we're not nuking Grandpa's Barbecue. You got the dry rubs, you got the sauces. It's a great kit for barbecue season. Plus, locally here in the Twin Cities, they are located at all the Fratelloni locations too. So you can also stop in to Fratelloni's, find it there. Go to grandpasbarbecueshop.com to place an order. Free shipping on orders $50 or more. So go stock up with barbecue needs with our friends at Grandpa's Barbecue. Trev, maybe we're a preliminary on this, but I mean, Rocco Baldelli's option was picked up. That was, reported 3 months ago now. Ownership potentially changing, and the roster is in complete disarray. And as they're trying to figure things out, do you still think, even though the option was picked up, if you were a betting man, do you think on opening day in 26, is Rocco Baldelli still the manager of this team?
I do think so. Even if it does get traded, I think it's, you're coming into a situation where I think you might wait a year to really make all the changes that you want to make. You need to get in there, see what you got. Let's get a feel for this business. And then I think you start to make decisions. Is Rocco your guy? Do I want to go a different way? Is Falvey my president? Is Jay-Z my GM? Let me look at my roster. I think that you do come in there and decide then. I don't think you wipe them initially and just kind of go into a managerial search. I don't think that's the plan.
So on Baldelli too, did you see Trev, the post game after the loss I think it was the win in Cleveland on Sunday? Rocco looked like a guy who had the weight of the world removed from his shoulders. Like he's always fine post game. He's not a snippy guy, but he just seemed to have a level of being at peace. And I wonder if it's because his team's basically been stripped it down. I don't know if he liked the previous team or not, but I guess that's beside the point. Like, there's nothing he can do now. He talked about, our goal is still to try to go win games. Obviously, he's going to say that. But at the end of the day, you lost a huge percentage of what was your normal roster. I just found it interesting that he actually looked almost relieved and like, okay, we're just going to do what we can possibly do. But now, in defense of Baldelli, I guess, it's very hard to pin wins and losses on him when you're dealing with a roster that's been this decimated.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could feel a little relieved. I don't know. I don't know if that's the way I would feel as a manager. Although, look, I know Rocco gets heat for some decisions he made, but, a lot of the games leading up to the trade deadline, I thought he managed perfectly. It just didn't go his way. I really do. I'm not just saying it. There wasn't mistakes being made as a manager. I thought he did a good job. I liked the walk of who did he walk? Ohtani.
Yeah.
I like the walk of Ohtani. I do.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You can say obviously it didn't work out, but yeah, I don't know, man. I know Rocco, as far as roster wise, I think he's come out and said not the most athletic team. And I think that means something in today's game. I think a lot of teams are going back to complete athleticism, teams that can run, can play good defense. And so maybe he thinks there are brighter days ahead with that. And we can get a little bit more athletic. Although, has the team gotten more athletic since those guys have been gone? I don't think so. Bader was pretty damn athletic. You traded him away. Willie Cascio was one of your best athletes. Traded him away.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Right.
Maybe it does next year. But yeah, I could see how he's feeling okay, stress is off. But again, if I was the manager, I might feel even more stressed.
Right.
We can go down and have the most embarrassing year maybe in team history. I was on 100 lost teams, but have the expectations that the Twins had this year, have 10 people on your 26-man roster traded, and then, possibly just go on a tailspin here. That's got to be up there at least for shocking, disappointing years. And Judd, you've seen a lot of Twins baseball, more than I have. I mean, is this up there for you as far as what the fuck years?
This is the maddest, short of Carl Pohlad offering the team up for contraction, which had nothing to do with the players, and that was a young team that was starting to come along. I've never seen this much in-season anger and vitriol. Fans are. And it's incredible because it feels like fans who 2 weeks ago were sort of apathetic, they might not pay attention, they're back in the game now. So I've seen some really bad Twins teams going back to Met Stadium in the 80s, but I don't recall seeing, and I mean, we don't see this. 40% of the roster, we don't see it. So this is as much immediate anger and re-engagement for the sake of being angry. If that makes sense. Fans who didn't care are re-engaging because they're so pissed off.
Yes, we did it. Yeah, we did it.
Yes. And so and I mean, I don't know, what's the stadium going to be like on Friday? Are people going to show up and protest and get kicked out? Are people not going to show up? And I want to know, out of morbid curiosity, who's getting Twins TV now? Like, because you can speak with your wallet on that one
Yeah.
and just cancel it. So
Hey, I'm still here,
cancel.
guys. Don't be canceling.
don't be. Well, no. See, the SKOR North Twins Show is free, so they can't cancel Plouffe.
That's right. Yeah, that's hilarious. Like the rage re-engagement is.
I've never seen it.
Something funny.
People are like back in the game to piss on the team because they feel like they got shortchanged, and it's like 2 weeks ago you didn't care, and you're that mad.
There's a faction of people for sure who are like, this thing needs to get burnt to the ground, and those people are probably happy and whatever. But dude, I'm telling you, it's just you don't want a 5-year thing. This brand can't do that unless they have the coolest new owners who, I don't know, man. Like there is a lot at stake over the next year for this franchise. Like so much. It's
I also feel, Trev, like there's no question that the trade started a fire, right? And I know this is going to seem small, but everyone, including you and me and Declan, has brought this up, and I feel like it was gasoline on a fire. It's the Varland thing. He's a local kid, and you might not like it, but we're as provincial as it gets. He's a local kid, made good. By the way, they had just moved him to a place where he was succeeding. He wasn't making money. And I mean, it's a sport. It's a pro sport. And the majority of guys, I know it uproots their lives. But you sign, as you know, you sign up for that. But they said Varland was ashen white. Like all the guys were watching the trade deadline show. And Varland, found out he'd been traded and was just ghostly white. I actually feel empathy. I rarely feel empathy for players.
true.
I felt empathy, like that poor kid. And I think that goes a long way towards ill will because of our provincialness here. And you just can't justify it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw people rooting for Isaac Collins as the Brewers were beating the crap out of the team. And that's because you guys love people from Minnesota, dude.
Yeah, we do.
So, yeah, no, that one to me, I honestly, I didn't even really think about why it was so bad when it happened. I just thought, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense roster wise. But then you start going to the other reasons why it's bad, like you mentioned here, local guy. Then you go into the money. It just, none of it made sense. Zero made sense. Again, they had to be in love with what the Blue Jays offer, which I don't know how you can. I watched some videos of the lefty they got. He looks pretty good. I'm okay with that. But you know who else looked pretty good? Louis Varland.
Who would have been your closer?
Yeah.
Of course. That would have been your guy. And, Louis is probably thinking the exact same thing, too. Hey, I would have been the closer. And, hey, it might be on a bad team, but you get paid more to be a closer. You know what? He's on the first place team. Best record in baseball.
Good for him.
Toronto. I felt bad for Jack. Think about this. Duran lands in butter, baby. He goes to Philly. He's already a cult hero there. They love him there. Then you got Brock Stewart goes to the freaking Dodgers. Okay. Louis goes to the best team, best record in the AL, and then you're Griffin Jackson. You go where?
Tampa. St. Pete.
Well, you're playing in a minor league park for the foreseeable future.
The report was Jax asked to be traded. So I wonder if that one was done. I mean, not that they don't like the pitcher they got back, but I wonder if that one, especially with what transpired the Wednesday before, with him melting down and stuff. Here's my question. So here's my talking baseball question about Duran. And Declan told me he knew about this, and the Phillies have jumped on this instantly. How did we not market Durantula?
I think it was already trademarked or copyrighted.
But aren't the Phillies now incorporating the Durantula aspect?
I don't think they use Durantula. I think there just is a tarantula in front of Duran, I believe, right?
Okay. But that's still cool.
I think Kevin Durant has it copyrighted.
Okay. Interesting.
And they used the little spider at Target.
They used
Field
everything.
too.
I think, Dustin Morris, there's a great article about that, how it all came to be. And some people are mad about that, but I'm like, that belongs to Duran.
Right, I agree.
The Twins are never going to use that again.
Correct.
So why wouldn't they let it happen? It's good for the sport of baseball. It's good for Duran. Like, it all makes sense. Like, I am 100% okay with it. And it's funny how, like, there's been some tweets about, oh, how cool is it in Minnesota? It's never gotten the traction that it got the first night that he was there.
So
God,
true.
no. There's been like, and one of them was a couple weeks ago against the Cubs when Nelly was here. Like, that was the sweetest one this season by far. They had a couple good ones in 2023 and 4, but in the 3 appearances now in Philadelphia, it is by far the coolest thing I have ever seen, and it helps when you have a packed ballpark that's literally contributing to that too.
When you see Harrison Bader slapping John Duran's butt after a victory in Philadelphia, you're like, gosh darn it.
Yeah.
What's that like there too? Since you played there, like when that team is good, what's the vibe?
It's awesome. I mean, the place is packed. They're very, very energetic there. And, I think there's probably like 4 places that I would name are like the atmospheres in baseball, and they're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I can go more than that. I think it's Philly. I think it's Dodger Stadium. I think it's Petco and Yankee Stadium in the playoffs. Citi Field gets crazy too. There's a lot of places, I guess.
Right.
But
Right. But
Philly's
there's
definitely up there as one of like the top tier spots to play.
it's a vibe.
Toronto also. God, there's a lot of great places.
Yeah, Toronto's got to be, but I just feel like the East Coast, especially, like the fan base is there though, because they, in my opinion, in my experience going to a few of those parks, and this is not to put us down, but they really watch the game more. It feels like Target Field is an event, which is awesome. Like, and when the Twins are good, it's fun, but it doesn't feel like people are hanging on pitches here. It feels like on the East Coast they hang on pitches more.
There's diehard Twins fans. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. But like there's more like generational Phillies fans. There's more generational Yankees fans where it's like you literally grew up watching every game and it just was a way of life. There are some like that in Minnesota, but in these other markets, it's just it's different. Dodger Stadium, I think, doesn't get a good enough ranking as far as one of those places. It's so loud at Dodger Stadium, especially with the teams they've been putting out lately and the success that they've had. It's so loud.
I love that place.
The boos of Correa.
Yeah.
I imagine he's got to get booed. Is it even worse now that he's back on the
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Altuve will
100%.
probably get more too, just because Correa's back with him.
I don't know, man.
Sorry, Trev.
We're gonna learn
I
together.
hope I
We're
don't
gonna
get myself
cope
in
together.
trouble. I don't know. I feel like it's okay. Like I have to speak the truth in these
No.
situations. I know,
You're
like
good.
I'm like semi-employed by the Twins. I think I am employed by the Twins. I'm not exactly sure, but man, like, how could you get mad at me for speaking my mind after something like this, right?
Totally, man.
There's nothing worse than a guy in your position who tries to gaslight a fan base. So I think you're more popular now with the fan base based on the fact that you're speaking your mind and not trying to coddle us and say, oh, it's fine, when you know it's not. So I appreciate it. Seriously.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to talk about something like that.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, Trev. You'll be joining us still every Tuesday here throughout the season. We're gonna learn together. We're gonna figure out what players are where, what we have in Luke Keeschall, Eddie Julian backup, maybe for his last hurrah here to show he can stay in the big leagues. Brooks Lee at short. Plenty of good stuff still to talk about. So appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe button. That's Trevor Plouffe. Go find him on Talkin' Baseball. We'll be talking at you guys very soon.